Reddeos presents r/AskReddit. If you enjoy the video, show your support by commenting, liking and subscribing to the channel. What conspiracy theory do you believe to be true? What evidence led you to this conclusion? When a comment in one of these threads is removed, it's because it's true and someone with the power to remove it wants it hidden longer. I don't have evidence yet, but if this comment gets removed, then I'll have the evidence but no comment. Edit at 1:30 AM is the 23rd of April, 2019, for peeps saying now they wouldn't delete it because you called out the negative consequences. That was the point of doing so, gotta keep the comment up somehow. Also, as tempting as is, I'm not gonna delete the comment myself, it wouldn't be effective to the trained eye. Removed by moderator, is hard to fake, and why falsify evidence when there's enough to go around? Half of you saw the thread about admins and gold. Why go any farther? I believe that the government probably makes some conspiracy theories to try to make questioning the government seem somewhat crazy. I wrote a complaint online about my pizza place about them cancelling my order without telling me, and the next order I got from them was up. The pizza was way undercooked, and not cut, and they didn't include the ranch that I always get with it. Also, when I called to tell them about the up, the manager seemed unapologetic and also like he already knew what I was talking about before I called. My conspiracy is that they retaliated since I basically reported them to corporate through their website with my initial complaint. I got a free pizza on my account with them for this but decided just to not order from them anymore. Mediocre pizza anyway. I don't necessarily believe this, but I've always speculated that a lot of priceless artwork and historical documents are actually replicas or copies. Obviously, a painting by a world-famous artist using a very specific technique would be very hard to fake, and I don't think that every art scholar in the world is paid off in some grand conspiracy. Rather, I just think that either the national treasures never left their vaults or that some national treasures actually were lost to history but they were copied. The lines on the detergent caps are higher than they should be, so you use more detergent for each load of laundry. It's so easy for them to get away with it. I believe in the mattress store conspiracy, so the conspiracy is that mattress stores are for money laundering. I went on to Google Maps and typed in mattress stores near me. There were 4 mattress stores in the same shopping center. There was a road that had 5 mattress stores less than a mile apart. So I definitely believe in it. The Hawaii nuke false alarm last year was actually the US government testing to see how the general population would react if an actual nuclear war broke out. The countdown timers on ads for games or streaming services are actually longer than seconds. Seems too long sometimes. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 wasn't an accident. There were definitely external forces that catalyzed its disappearance. The flight path was diverted many times and there was a lot of shady stuff about some of the passengers and the pilot of Flight 370. We may never know unless the plane is found. Credit to /u/Breed Smack for this outstanding post on the Titanic /Olympic conspiracy. /u/Breed Smack post in other conspiracy thread. The Titanic /Olympic conspiracy. It has credibility because there is photographic evidence. It's really one of the only conspiracy theories I put much belief in. The sister ships, and their third counterpart, the Britannic, were owned by White Star Line. The Olympic was put into service in June 1911. She collided with another ship, the HMS Hawke, in September of 1911 and both ships were badly damaged. The accident was a financial disaster for White Star Line, as they were found to be liable for the accident and had to pay for the damages to both ships and legal fees for court cases associated with the accident. Repairs on the Olympic took nearly 2 months and parts intended for the Titanic, which was still being built during this time, had to be given to the Olympic instead. Only a few weeks after being returned to service, the Olympic suffered another minor incident where one of the propellers broke off and pieces intended for the Titanic were once again cannibalized. At this point, the Olympic was looking like more and more of a money drain for the White Star Line, though its achievement in not actually sinking despite a major accident that should have sunk it cemented the Olympic-class liner's reputation as unsinkable, but I'll get back to that in a moment. The Titanic was finally finished and ready to leave port on her maiden voyage on the 10th of April, 1912, having been delayed while new parts were made and delivered to replace the ones needed for the Olympic, and from there we all know the story. She went first to France, and then to Ireland, and then began her trek across the Atlantic to New York, during which she struck an iceberg and after nearly 2 hours, sank, taking 1,500 souls with her to a cold, watery grave that would not be seen again by human eyes for nearly 100 years. The Olympic went on to have a 24-year career as a successful ocean liner. She served during World War I, where she earned the nickname Old Reliable for her impenetrable hull, and then in 1919 she was re-outfitted to be a civilian passenger ship and served as an ocean liner until 1935, when she was retired from the fleet. Her ownership changed hands several times and she was eventually dismantled and sold for scrap metal. But what if it wasn't the Titanic that sank? What if it was actually the Olympic? What if it was a ploy to remove a faulty ship that was costing them more money than she was bringing in for White Star Line and cash in on her £1 million insurance policy? So here is the conspiracy theory. At some point after the Titanic was completed, they switched the identities of the ships. The new Titanic was actually the Olympic and the Olympic was actually the brand spanking new Titanic, fresh from the construction yard with zero problems and zero history. They intended for the Titanic to suffer some sort of failure that would result in the destruction of the problem ship so they could collect the insurance money. I doubt they intended to also cause the deaths of 1,500 people. The events that transpired which led to the sinking of the Titanic possibly happened purely by chance and the iceberg wasn't part of their plan, i.e., they didn't hire the captain to specifically ram the iceberg to sink the ship or anything like that. They probably had another plan involving the repairs that had already been made on the ship when it collided with the HMS Hawke. In any case, it wasn't really the Titanic that left port on the 10th of April, 1912, it was the Olympic. After the sinking of the Titanic, White Star Line received a tidy sum of £1 million in insurance money, or £89,289,575 in today's money. This, of course, ruined the insurer, Lloyd's of London. There's an additional conspiracy theory that American financier and banker J.P. Morgan was in on this whole scheme. His company, J.P. Morgan and Amp Company, financed the International Mercantile Marine Company in the hopes of becoming rich off of sea travel, but this turned out to be a bad investment because of the unpredictable nature of sea travel and travelers themselves. J.P. Morgan or one of his associates may have schemed with White Star Line, who was a subsidiary of this IMMC, in order to bankrupt the IMMC and allow J.P. Morgan and Amp Company to withdraw from the IMMC without breaking a contract. I cannot provide evidence for this beyond speculation. However, I can provide evidence that backs up my claim that the two ships were switched and it was the Olympic who sank, not the Titanic. This is an image of the RMS Olympic in Reddeos. I am currently unable to locate a picture of the Olympic while under construction with the name clear, so you can be sure it definitely is the Olympic. I can only assume such a photo doesn't exist. Check out the very top row of portholes in the white railing. Count them. Look closely at the grouping of the last 5 portholes and how they are clustered with 2 close together, 1 set apart, and 2 more close together. This is an image of the RMS Titanic being built. Look at the topmost portholes in the railing on the Titanic. Count them too. Look at the last 5 portholes and see that they are evenly spaced apart. This is a picture of the Titanic before leaving on its maiden voyage. Check out the portholes in question. Here is the Olympic in New York after the sinking of the Titanic. There is no reason why the shipbuilders would have changed the portholes on the Titanic when they were nearly done building it. That piece was not one of the pieces cannibalized from the Titanic to repair the Olympic that would have needed to be replaced by a different piece. The only answer is that the ship in the final picture, which is the ship that left port on the 10th of April, 1912, and was met with a terrible fate near Newfoundland, was not the Titanic, but actually the Olympic. You can find pictures from newspapers further supporting this, as they clearly show the name of the ship and the wrong number / orientation of portholes. I doubt we'll ever know one way or another, since the wreck at the bottom of the Atlantic is quickly being covered with sediment and will be completely buried and inaccessible soon, and pieces of the ship that was retired in 1935 and dismantled in 1937 are both difficult to find and difficult to authenticate, and anybody who might be able to either confirm or deny this theory are all dead. The Bandersnatch Black Mirror Netflix special collected watchers' data to better green light productions that were more in line with users' taste. That there is a huge pedophile ring in Hollywood, anyone who tries to expose them die shortly after coincidentally. Edit. Thanks for the silvers. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, like and subscribe.